Gardening is not just about growing food, but it's also about legacy, it's about living history, and a definite reminder that sometimes that which has been forgotten deserves to be remembered. I would like to introduce you to two beautiful women that were little girls during the Great Depression times. My mother, Christine, she's 91, and my Aunt Geraldine, she is 90. My mother and Aunt Geraldine were little girls during the Great Depression times, when food was scarce and every garden row mattered. This is Mama on the right and Aunt Geraldine on the left, back in the 1940s, growing food.
My mother grew a garden in her yard. That's what people did back in the Depression times, to have food, because there wasn't enough in the stores.
Back in those days, it was very important to have food to eat.
During the Depression times, it was important to have a garden, so a lot of people had a garden in their yard.
That's right. If you didn't have a garden, you'd starve.
Let's talk about the turnip. Today we're digging up the story of a humble hero of the garden, one that's been forgotten by many but deserves a big comeback. Look at this little guy. Doesn't look like much, right? However, turnips used to be everywhere, on kitchen tables, in earthy soups, and even on the front lines of food shortages during hard times. Back in the day, especially in Europe and early America, turnips were a household staple. They were cheap, filling, and easy to grow. They were the original comfort food, long before the Irish potatoes stole the spotlight. But somewhere along the way, they got pushed aside. Maybe it was the rise of the potato, or maybe it's because turnips do have a little bit of a reputation of being bitter or boring. Either way, they quietly faded from the spotlight. But here's the thing, turnips do not have to be bitter. If you harvest them when they're very young, they're actually kind of sweet and have a crisp texture to them. Have you ever grown or cooked turnips? Please leave a comment below. The next forgotten vegetable on the list was actually used as a sweetener before sugar was common in Europe. Another humble and forgotten vegetable that deserves a comeback, and that is the parsnips. Yes, these pale, carrot-looking roots may not win a beauty contest, but don't be fooled. Parsnips are loaded with flavor, history, and nutritional power. Back in the day, before potatoes stole the show, parsnips were the go-to root vegetable on many kitchen family tables, and that they enjoyed, that really got them through hard times. So really, what does parsnips have going for them? Well, they're packed with fiber, vitamin C, potassium, and antioxidants. They taste sweeter after a frost, nature's way of caramelizing them, and they're incredibly versatile. You can roast them, mash them, toss them in soups, or turn them in parsnip fries. So if you want to grow parsnips yourself, start early. Parsnips take a while to mature, somewhere between 100 and 120 days, but they're worth the wait. And this is a gardening tip. Don't dig up your parsnips too soon. Let a frost or two hit the parsnips, because the cold turns the starch into sugar, and that will boost the flavor big time. Next on the list, despite the name, this vegetable is not from Jerusalem, and it is not related to artichokes. This vegetable is Jerusalem artichokes. Down through the years, why has many families forgotten about Jerusalem artichokes? Well, for one, they were known as the poor man's food, and it was a reminder of hard times. Back in the day, Jerusalem artichokes, also known as sunchokes, were a true hidden hero. They grew fast, they thrive in poor soil, and they come back year after year without replanting. Have you ever grown or tried to eat Jerusalem artichokes? If so, please leave me a comment below. Why is salafie worth rediscovering? Well, it has a nutty, slightly sweet flavor. Some say like oysters or artichokes. It's high in fiber, high in nutrients. It can be roasted, mashed, added to soups, or even eaten raw when young. Why is salafie forgotten about by many families today? Well, number one, it takes a long time to grow, up to 150 days. And also the roots can be tricky to clean and peel. You rarely find them in supermarkets. And there are other vegetables like carrots and parsnips that became more popular because they are definitely easier to grow than salafie. Have you ever heard of a vegetable that's part turnip and part cabbage and can survive freezing weather like a champ? Meet the rutabaga. The rutabaga is not your average vegetable. It's actually a cross between a turnip and a cabbage. During World War I and II, when food was very scarce, rutabagas became a lifeline. Not exactly fine dining, but it kept people alive. Rudabaggas are making a comeback for a good reason. They're nutritious, easy to grow, and sweeter than you think, especially after a frost, which actually makes them taste better. During the Great Depression, when families were struggling to make ends meet, rutabagas became a kitchen staple. Why? Because they were cheap, easy to grow, and most importantly, filling. Also, rutabagas could be stored for months in a root cellar or a cool basement, helping families to get through the long winter months without going hungry. They may not have been glamorous, but rutabagas were dependable, a real survival food during the hardest of times. Rudabaggas, Jerusalem artichokes, salafie, parsnips, and turnips. These forgotten vegetables by many families today. Just because they've been forgotten does not mean they're not fabulous. Try them, you just might like them, and they also make great survival crops. Can you think of other vegetables that have been forgotten that were used back in hard times? Share in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.